All these airport passengers left to suffer, waiting, hoping to reach their final destination after Southwest Airlines faces a massive problem just a few hours ago. And folks, I got to tell you, it's never safe to do what they just did. Massive Southwest Airlines system failure. We need to talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. My name is Kevin, Kevin in all caps, youtube.com/@Kevin247. We got a lot to discuss here, as well as I have a lot of other valuable, informative videos coming to you with a really good one coming up with a special guest that I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys, bringing you some insider intel, some actual boots on the ground information from another YouTube content creator and author as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like. Help increase its reach in the algorithm so we can connect with more people, providing them with the information, the facts, and most importantly, the truth. And make sure your alerts and notifications bell is highlighted so you get notified when my most recent videos are uploaded. And again, the special guest video you're not going to want to miss. Now let's get right into what's happened. Southwest Airlines system failure. I really hope they have this under investigation after all these airport passengers were left to suffer. An FAA nationwide ground stop. Comment down below if you've ever experienced a delay in your airline flight, stuck in an airport, stuck in a layover, forced to take another route, a disruption in your travel plans, an unexpected disruption, perhaps maybe even at the expense and added cost that you would have to bear in order to get to where you needed to go, or maybe just missing your appointment, missing a deadline, missing out on a holiday, a birthday, an event, maybe even missing Thanksgiving or Christmas because you're stuck in an airport, or, traveling with young children or other dependents, and the resources that you need for them for health reasons are limited and finite, potentially locked away in a checked bag, and ultimately left to sort of scrounge the airport for whatever you can make do with at extremely high cost, because we know everything inside of an airport is unbelievably expensive, let alone the checked bag. I think checked bags are like $75 a piece now. But either way, this Southwest Airlines system failure is unfortunate, but we need to discuss it. We need to talk about it. We need to understand what happened and why we should do our best to avoid these things, or avoid experiencing these things from happening in the future. And it says that hundreds of Southwest airline flights are delayed after FAA lifts nationwide ground stop. This is according to a recent CNN report. Southwest Airlines flights were delayed on Tuesday morning as a result of, get this, a data connection issue resulting from a firewall failure. A problem that led to a ground stop. An FAA issued forced ground stop, all flights grounded. This is a big deal because a firewall failure is the security between the airline and potentially the FAA, which is why they stepped in, their security between the outside world and them. Cyber attacks, those wanting to do harm against us. This is a big deal. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, had to stop flights for Southwest Airlines after issuing an order citing equipment issues. Is what it said on Twitter. And that earlier in the morning, a vendor supplied firewall went down and connection to some operational data was unexpectedly lost. So, vendor supplied, I don't know who the vendor is. It could have been Cisco, it could have been Linksys, it could have been Belkin, it could have been Netgear, it could have been HP, it could have been a variety of different suppliers, vendors to provide this firewall, but it went down. And with the current labor situation or labor shortages that they are discussing in Washington, as well as some still having supply chain issues and semiconductor chip issues, getting a replacement component for the firewall system could prove to be difficult. Southwest has delayed 1,728 flights, or 41% of its schedule, and canceled flights as well. There was a hold on flights into Dallas Love Field Airport. And you got to think, being up in the air while this is happening and then getting the message. This is your captain speaking. We're cruising at about 30,000 feet right now. Time is, I don't know what time it is, but we can't land. So we're just going to have to cruise around. We got a little, we get the gas light is on, but we're going to be fine. We're just going to hang out here because we can't land into the airport. Make sure your tray tables are locked and stowed away. Your seat backs are in their upright position, and just hang tight because we're going to be here for a while. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that, knowing that you can't land because there is a ground stop and the firewall system is down, putting flights, passengers, staff, pilots all in danger? Southwest reported technology issues Tuesday morning and said it would hopefully be resuming operation as soon as possible. Comforting. Hopefully resuming as soon as possible. Now, when they stated, get this, folks, that there was a vendor-supplied firewall failure, think about this. Think about FedNow and think about CBDC. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. I want you to think about that. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, firewall network failure, FedNow, CBDC, and hopefully we will be resuming our operations as soon as possible. Just think about that. It says that the problems come months after the airline was forced to cancel more than 16,700 flights between December 20 and December 29. And the airline attributed that meltdown in part to changes to its staff scheduling computer systems. And Southwest last month unveiled an action plan to prevent another operational meltdown. I'm not quite sure that was effective. Meanwhile, Southwest called the problem intermittent technology issues in a post to social media, where several have taken to social media to complain about the flight cancellations, the flight delays, the ground stop order, being stuck in the airport, not being able to reach their destinations. I can only imagine just how bad this affected Southwest publicly, as all these passengers are sitting with nothing left to do but to complain, and they take to social media and voice their concerns. I'd be hard pressed to find any review or comment prior to that of how great Southwest or any airline was, really, for that matter. For the most part, you're only going to get complaints. So you only have the opportunity and ability to be perfect just to be good enough to not receive more complaints, if that makes sense. And it's unbelievable. I don't know if this is going to have as much of a devastating financial impact on Southwest as the massive slip up on Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light's part did. Effectively, as far as I know, was a $6 billion market cap hit to the company. $6 billion with a B. But lots of complaints. But I want you guys to get used to hearing these responses, these automated responses. Companies and businesses, these corporations, they are taking the time to hire experts in creating a list of automatic responses to provide to people during times like this, during outages, but also to provide to their technology and their AI that is ultimately going to be introduced and take over the jobs of the human beings and the human component. And one of them is, We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, but we are hoping to get everyone going as soon as possible, ASAP. Now, this is kind of like the banks when they say, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, or how hopefully we'll be resuming our operations as soon as possible. These are all very, very vague statements to try to de-escalate the situation and calm down the angered customers and passengers in this particular situation. But we also have to know that much like they've moved to a computerized staffing scheduling system, it'll eventually move to computerized. What are the people called that check your bag and give you a ticket? I don't know what they're called, but those have already been replaced. Those people, those jobs have been replaced or supplemented with the kiosks where you can pretty much do it all yourself. And there's just a few left on the curb or at the counters with the conveyor belts to put your bags on. But when those people are gone completely and this computer scheduling staffing system isn't even necessary anymore, then it'll just be OpenAI, ChatGPT, Bard, other technology that they will automatically input these responses to that they have done tests and studies on to see which ones are the most effective at keeping people as calm as possible during massive crisis and delay and destruction, basically collapse of their firewall network. Now, it says that a massive winter storm started the service problems during the holiday season, but Southwest had a much tougher time recovering because of an antiquated crew scheduling system that was quickly overwhelmed, leaving the airline unable to get the staffing it needed to locations to operate flights. Ultimately, creating a much worse problem at Southwest, in comparison to other airlines who haven't quite gone as far as Southwest. And crew members had to call in to the airline rather than notifying it electronically to let them know of their availability. And that's it, folks. Maybe potentially relying on and putting too many of our eggs into this basket of technology and losing touch with the human component, ultimately experiencing and facing system failures and outages that really, really inflict so much pain on so many as a result. But what happens when that's pain at the center of the banking system that is now the central bank and their digital currency? What happens when the FedNow system firewall has a failure, or a vendor-related outage, or a cybersecurity attack? 100% dependency on computers and technology that can fail is never something we want to do. It's never safe to do, really. But more importantly, we must have our backup plans. In this case, travel insurance could potentially be a backup plan. Now, it may not have necessarily saved you in the moment with Southwest Airlines, but travel insurance in general could potentially help mitigate some of the costs that may be incurred or just losses from changes of travel plans due to no fault of your own. Now, I would encourage you guys to thoroughly read the travel insurance before you purchase it, because you may be surprised at what it covers and more surprised at what it doesn't cover, especially for the cost of it. If you guys would like me to do that on a video, just comment down below. Smash that like button, comment down below, and let me know if you guys want to do a thorough review of travel insurance and the gotchas, the loopholes, the way they can kind of make you feel safe, but actually the insurance is pretty much next to worthless, sort of like the insurance down here in Florida, the last resort homeowners insurance in Florida that is running, or actually has already run out of resources and capital and liquid assets to be able to cover all their policies in the event that we are entering into hurricane season 2023. So, folks, beware. Another backup plan would be cash, because we're talking about the possibilities of this affecting our money and the banking system and central bank digital currency and Fed now, but also maybe the airlines. Maybe airline system goes down and you have to resort to cash. But I will say that cash can be a very, very useful tool, especially in certain situations like these where you need to get someone's attention or maybe get your name on the top of a list. Cash is very effective. Credit cards, again, network failures, firewall failures. But the key is that maybe you have to go buy another plane ticket. Maybe you got to switch airlines. Maybe you got to rent a car. Maybe you got to get a hotel. You're going to want to make sure you have a credit card to be able to pull that off. Have the available limit to do that so you're not stranded. Because oftentimes what will happen is even with travel insurance or airline delays, you have to wait to be reimbursed. It's not going to be immediate. And I'll tell you guys right now, the airlines are going to have more delays and less cancellations. And the reason for that is we saw this last year is that cancellations require refunds. Delays, they can make you sit as long as they want. They figure that out. They know. Legal team, the accountants, the bean counters in the back are making sure that they keep their bottom line in check, no matter what. And, you know, what the problems could mean on the other end. Think about it. If you are unable to make your flight, you got an FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, forced ground stop as the system has crashed. The firewall is down. There's nothing they can do. Southwest they have crashed, okay? Maybe even other airlines. It's not just Southwest. Southwest is what happened yesterday. This could be anybody, anywhere, anytime. This could be on rail cars, trains, on commuting trains, and any system could go down really at any point in time. A grid down situation for which we rely on so much. Remember last year when Rogers Network went down in Canada? That caused a lot of problems. And that was just the internet. So think about it. You wouldn't be able to reach your loved ones. You wouldn't be able to get back to work. Maybe this could even have an impact on you losing your job because you're unable to return to the office. Remember, folks, diversity, security, cash flow, especially as we enter into the new age of central bank digital currency, a CBDC, we have to have backup plans to protect ourselves. Being able to rent a car in order to return home could be a backup plan. Maybe not the best, maybe not your first choice. You know, obviously, you know, a flight from, let's just say, I don't know, Miami to LA, which is probably, or New York to LA is probably a common flight, probably 5 or 6 hours, I would guess. Rent a car, take you 2 days if you're lucky. And then the fuel costs, unbelievable. So I also want to share with you guys, you might have even seen this. There was a family. It was a case of a family being locked down on an island. I want to say it was last year, maybe the year before last, because of their testing status. You know, remember you had to do the little test to leave the resorts. They had an inconclusive test for one of the family members, and they were stranded. They were stuck. The hotel, the resort, accommodated them for free, no added costs. But this was a perk that they were promoting to get people to travel because they really needed people to travel. They needed tourists and tourism to support their economy. But then after a week or so, I think it was a week or so, they were like, look, you can't stay here anymore. We didn't expect it to last that long. We kind of extended this courtesy for a few days, but you guys are here for a while and we can't get this testing figured out. So their only option to return home, besides becoming homeless in this, you know, this tropical island country, although once you exit the gates of the resorts, you know what kind of situation you're going to be in there. You know, sandals on one side, ghetto on the other side. So their only real option besides roaming the streets in a country that they don't speak the language, they're not familiar with, they're not citizens of, and potentially at risk, was to hire their own private helicopter charter to get home. And it came with a cost. That cost was 30 grand. And that was about $10,000 a seat for a very, very short flight just to make it back home. So think about these things and these backup plans before you jump both feet into anything. You should always have a way out. Hopefully one that doesn't cost you 30 grand. But I have to wonder what will happen when all the machines stop working. Think about it. We're moving towards this digital AI technology age of replacing human beings with computers and bots and droids and technology, AI using facial recognition, this, that, and the other. What happens when there's no way for these businesses and companies to revert back to their previous analog methods of operating as they ultimately end up facing their inevitable collapse?